We are all here, eager to work with you to bring our commitment to Uluru to life, to see Australia answer that gracious, patient call for respect and truth and unity. The Uluru Statement is a hand outstretched, a moving show of faith in Australian decency and Australian fairness from people who have been given every reason to forsake their hope in both. I am determined, as a government, as a country, that we grasp that hand of healing, we repay that faith, we rise to the moment, to work with you in lifting the words off the page and lifting our whole nation up, to work with a new spirit of partnership between government and First Nations people through the work of Makarrata, treaty making and truth telling, and by enshrining a voice to Parliament in our Constitution.
My name is Jaden Holt. I'm an Aboriginal boy, Warramai and Biripi. I currently study Aboriginal Studies and this is my major work. I was lucky enough last year to be at Garma on the 30th of July 2022 when Prime Minister Albanese announced that we're going to have a referendum on giving Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples a voice to Parliament. At the time I had mixed emotions. I wasn't quite sure what a referendum was or what a voice to Parliament meant. I figured at that point in time, would many other people my age know what a referendum was, or what a voice to Parliament is? In this documentary I hope to clear out those questions. I've interviewed a mixed range of 17 to 25-year-olds on how much they know. Have you ever heard about the Statement from the Heart?
No, I haven't.
No, I haven't.
So the Prime Minister announced last year that there was going to be a referendum on giving Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples a voice to the Parliament, enshrined in the Constitution. Do you know what a referendum is, and how do you feel about voting in a referendum?
I do know what a referendum is. It's like a vote.
All I know is it's a vote. I'm not particularly sure how it's any different from any other. I feel like it's beneficial to the country if I do vote. They need more opinions.
I don't know what a referendum is at all.
Do you feel you have enough information, if any, to vote appropriately?
I would say that relatively now I'm nearly 18, so I don't have that much information to be able to vote. So, yeah.
I have very little information, so I wouldn't classify myself as having enough information to vote.
No, because I haven't heard anything about it.
That it's difficult to be on the side of change where people have such strong opinions and there's so many opinions being voiced, but you don't actually have all of the information to know whether we're doing the right thing or not.
Have you heard or seen anything about the referendum and voice to Parliament anywhere? If so, where?
Not until right now.
I have not.
No. I'd like to know a general overview and what it's about and what I'm voting on before I make a decision.
Yeah, so a referendum is where you're looking to make an amendment to the Constitution. To make an amendment to the Constitution, it requires a vote of the Australian people, those people over the age of 18. And for a referendum to be successful, it requires a vote of the majority of people in the majority of states. And so we need as many people as possible in every state and territory in the country to vote yes in regards to a referendum for it to be successful. So the voice to Parliament is really about ensuring that Indigenous people have a greater say in laws, legislation, policy and programs as they impact us as Indigenous people. It has no impact on non-Indigenous people because we're not having a say in laws that impact non-Indigenous people. And right now people might ask, well, why do we need a voice in Parliament? Well, we need a voice in Parliament because right now the Constitution allows the federal government to make laws about us. We want a say in those laws and we want to make sure that those laws have a positive impact on our people and not a negative impact.
Well, I think they most need to know that this is a really simple proposition and it all boils down to a moral question.
Yeah.
Do you think Indigenous people should be recognised in the Constitution through giving them a guaranteed voice when Parliament makes laws and policies about them? And the crucial thing to know is that Parliament already does make laws and policies about Indigenous people. Like I said, native title, closing the gap measures, those kinds of things. All this is saying is, do you think it's fair that if Parliament and government are going to make those kinds of laws and policies, they should at least hear Indigenous voices when they do that? This is not any kind of veto. It's just about, should they at least be heard in those decisions?
The Constitution itself is founded on race. We're not having a debate here around race, we're having a debate around indigeneity and recognising our rightful place within our own country, because we've not come from anywhere else, and ensuring that we have a greater say in policies, programs, laws that impact our people. Because right now, what we're doing isn't working. And we're spending $36 billion annually in the name of Indigenous people. $6 billion of that is direct spend. But from the time that $6 billion, a decision is made around that $6 billion in Canberra, by the time it hits the ground, 30 cents out of every dollar hits the Aboriginal community. And so 70 cents of every dollar is being siphoned off through bureaucracy and through other services and programs. And so 30 cents hits the ground. You know, we're not going to change the circumstances of our communities and the challenges that exist until we have a greater say on how those dollars hit the community, and the communities determine what their priorities are, not politicians in Canberra or the other capital cities.
I just think this is a really important unifying moment for the country. You know, do we want to be one of the only Western democracies? In fact, I think we're probably the only successful Western democracy that doesn't recognise Indigenous people in our constitution and doesn't have any mechanism to ensure that Indigenous people are heard when Parliament and government make decisions about them.
There's an argument that runs that, it should be voice first or treaty first.
Yeah.
I think we can do it all at the same time. You know, we can run these things, and while we have the opportunity, we should work on those things, you know, together and simultaneously. It doesn't hurt, you know, there's no hierarchy of need here, although some people will say, yes, there is, we want the treaty first. Well, unfortunately, here in Queensland, we know that to get a treaty up in our country, in our state, will take at least 10 years. And we can't wait for that. So there's a real timing issue, I think, that's linked between the three, you know, voice, treaty and truth. And while we have the opportunity now of a voice, we should put our energies into that.
I feel a little bit excited about voting in such a monumental piece of legislational change.
A lot of conflicting opinions out there, and it can be difficult to be a 17 to 25-year-old at this point in time.